Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about at what level should you level up all of the knights close to. Now, one thing to call out up front is that this is not a tier list, so I'm not actually saying how good is an armor. Instead, what I'm saying is that if you only have limited amount of resources, which everyone do, which knights, well, their armor should you level up to first in order to unlock most of their potential? So take an example here. I have Babel here at level 30 of his armor and Deathmask at level 20 of his armor. I am definitely not saying Babel is better than Deathmask. We all know that's not true. If you check out my tier list, I actually have Babel at one of the food tiers, whereas Deathmask is one of the best character in the game. So this is definitely not all I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that for Babel, if you even want to play him or make him playable, you need level 30 of his clothes for sure. Anything lower than that, he is absolute rubbish and no worse a player in your team. Whereas Desmos at level 20, he's already able to have a huge power jump. He already gets a lot of new game mechanics that would define the way the battle will go. So therefore, of course, if you have unlimited amount of resources, definitely level up to level 30, right? If Deathmask is the character you play in all of your battles, etc., why wouldn't you level up to level 30? Because you get the most out of it. However, purely from a resource perspective, the power jump from, let's say level 10 to level 20 is the greatest power jump for Deathmark. And whilst I can get it to level 30 as well, the jump from level 20 to level 30 for Deathmark is not as big as the jump that Babel would get from level 20 to level 30. So that's how you should really interpret this list that I'm about to show you today. Cool. All right. So now let's start off with the knights here. I'm gonna start off with those at the bottom. So basically, level one means that you can do whatever you want with the characters um, in this level. Basically, they can be very good or very bad. In fact, I'm going to put Gemini Sega here to demonstrate. It can still be a very good character, but what I'm saying is that you are the the close mechanics doesn't really add too much beneficial to what he already has as a result. So for Dante, Capella, and Dio, basically what happens is they are three pretty rubbish characters who are normally your food, and their clothes is not going to make them any more useful or any more stronger for you to would actually want to play them. For Gemini Sega is kind of on the opposite end. Gemini Sega is a very powerful character. However, I don't think he really gets any too much incremental benefit from his clothes. His first two level is pretty bad in terms of you just increase slightly higher rate of stun rate. And at level 20 and level 30, he does get a pretty good ability where he is able to bring out his meteorite much earlier in the battle. However, because you can only do that once every match or every battle anyway, I don't think it really, even though bringing it earlier can help you to kind of close off the battle a lot quicker, I don't think it really justify all the resources you need to spend to get it from level 1 to level 30. So for that reason, I think Gemini Sega, you can just leave at level 1. You can do whatever you want with this clothes. It doesn't really matter. It wouldn't change the core mechanics for Gemini Sega. Next, we have Babel. Babel, for me, you need level 30 for it to be playable. Basically, what happens at level 30 is that his looping skill is able to inflict everyone with 3 layers of burn. And then he has a trigger effect where anyone have 3 layers of burn will be detonated straight away, inflicting massive amount of damage, etc. So without his level 30 close, what happens is that his massive damage output always comes in at a delay, which is not great because a lot of time you want to inflict damage as soon as possible to do the most and try to wipe out enemy as fast as possible. However, at level 30, he is able to do this without any kind of delay between his looping skills, so that makes him really powerful. And like I said, without level 30, to me, he will be definitely one of the food. But at level 30, he is actually gets a massive power jump that even in the Chinese version of this game, so remember, Chinese version of the game is about like 6 months, 1 year ahead of us. I still see, obviously, you don't see Babel often, but in very certain, very niche lineups, I have seen Babel being used to counter specific characters such as Poseidon, um, who's like a tier 0 character that's gonna come in the future. So Babel definitely does have his use in certain situations, but in order for him to do that, you need level 30 of his clothes for sure. Next, let's talk about Deathmask. So Deathmask has really good clothes. I think Deathmask clothes is probably one of the best in the game. But I think level 20 for me is kind of the turning point, which really defines Deathmask. Before level 20, basically what happens is you slow down the enemy's cosmo speed, which is great. However, what that means is that even though you slow it down, the enemies still have their cosmos, so they will just release their ultimate after you. So yeah, sure, you get the first hit of the ultimates in the game, but if you're not able to really do enough damage to really define the outcome of the battle at that stage, then your opponent essentially have a chance to retaliate. At level 20 of his clothes, however, he's able to then absorb the cosmo of those enemies that he killed off, and as a result, you have a much higher chance of basically doing a back-to-back ultimate release. So now you have a much longer time for you to kind of like change the outcome of the battle, because rather than just trying to depend on your first round of ultimate, now you have Desmond able to release two ultimate very fast next to each other, and therefore giving you a much bigger likelihood of really changing the outcome of the battle as a result. So for that reason, I think Deathmask you need to be at least level 20. The reason why I didn't put Deathmask to level 30 is because yes, at level 20 of his clothes, he absorbed only 50% of Cosmo, whereas at level 30 he absorbed 100%. However, you have to bear in mind that because Deathmask slows down all of your opponent's Cosmo speed, when you actually kill off enemies, they probably haven't actually. If you manage to kill off any enemy on your first round of ultimate, there's a very high chance that none of them release their ultimate at that point yet, because you will release yours faster than them. So even though you're only taking 50%, you are taking like 50% of their almost full Cosmo gauge. So if you manage to kill off two enemies, then immediately you recover completely to 100% and able to fire off through it. Even if you only manage to kill off one enemy, you are already back up to 50% instantly as well. So that's actually really good. So that's why I think kind of the biggest power jump is more from level 10 to level 20, as opposed to leading it all the way to level 30. Now let's talk about kind of one reason why this is really powerful for Desma at level 20 is because he gets this additional effect which only activates when an enemy is killed off. Now I'm going to talk about three other characters who also have a similar effect. However, they are kind of at different tiers for me. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Potomi. So Potomi has a similar effect where when an enemy is killed off, he is able to use his aim, which basically randomly do massive, large amount of damage to people, and also weaken them, giving them massive debuff and more likely for you to inflict higher damage in the next few seconds as well. Um, Both of them, Desmos and Potomi, it's very important for you to activate this effect because it almost goes into the snowball mode where as soon as you kill off one enemy, you are able to do massive amount of damage to others in your enemy's team, and therefore high chance of you then kill off a second enemy. And then once that's done, you're then able to do it on the third enemy, and so on, etc. So you get into a really strong snowball position if you have Potomi and Desmos, and that's why you really want to unlock their skills at level 20. For Leo and Krishna, they also have a skill which activate when enemies killed up. However, for me, those are not as strong because it's not able to guarantee you that snowball effect. For Krishna, it's actually a bit more defensive. You are able to gain HP and also a bit of Cosmo, but Krishna's Cosmo is a defensive Cosmo. So as a result, you won't be able to get into a snowball effect of from killing off enemies. So that's why it's not that good. Um, Leo, similar kind of thing. You make it so that you don't get any buffs. You basically make yourself immune to kind of like controls and the kind of debuffs, etc. But it doesn't really allow you to do loads of damage straight away, and it doesn't allow you to use your ultimate straight away, etc. So whilst it's good, I'm not sure you can get into a snowball effect directly of Leo's level 20 close, and that's the reason why, even though all of them have effects that activate upon enemies killed off, for me, that's my epitome. You need level 20 to actually get that additional effect. But for Krishna and Leo, that additional effect is not, you don't really need it, to be honest. So that's why I put level 10 for them. For Misty, the clear power jump is at level 10 because what happens is that you're able to reduce the enemy's cosmo speed by 70%, which is a lot. At level 20, you're able to increase a bit more healing, but Misty already heals previous as well, so the incremental benefit is not as large. So power jump for Misty is at level 10. For Virgo level 30 for sure. Basically, at level 30, what happens is you are able to release your ultimate at the start of the game, dealing loads of people damage, and also give all of your allies a buff and a debuff straight away. Level 30 close for Vergoshun is so different to one without level 30 close. It's like two different knights altogether, two different characters. So you definitely need level 30 close for Vergoshun. Um, for Sagittarius Seiya, so one of the newest characters that's released, uh, I can't say level 20 or level 30, but I'll probably put it at level 20. So basically, you definitely need at least level 20 because what Sagittarius Seiya is able to do is able to release his ultimate straight away without kind of the 4 second charging time. He's able to do this only once at level 20, but he's able to do this 3 times for level 30. The reason why I say probably level 20 is enough is because sometimes you don't even need it for street ultimate. Sometimes because especially if I have also Virgo Shun with level 30 close in the team, you are able to do massive amount of damage from both of their opening skills. And then if you meant to release your first ultimate, a lot of time by that point the flow of the game has already been decided. You pretty much killed off a lot of enemies, in which case you're gonna win the battle anyway. Or you if you didn't meant to kill off an enemy, then that just shows you are not able to do enough damage and you're definitely not gonna win the battle. So the flow of the battle is normally already decided by when you first release your ultimate. So that's why the power jump is at level 20 as opposed to level 30. Obviously, if you have resources, I do still recommend you to put level 30 for Sagittarius, but level 20 for me is a clear power jump. Um, Aphrodite, I'll probably say level 10. So Aphrodite really depends on what formation you have. Basically, what happens is Aphrodite gets a lot stronger when at level 20, he is able to kind of increase the effect of all types of poisoning. However, right now in the game, there's only 2 characters. Well, 3 characters. There's also Hydra Itchy, but no one plays that. But other than that, you only have 2 characters, like Mirror and Aphrodite, who are able to inflict poison. So unless you are gonna bring Mirror in your team as well, otherwise the boost from level 20 close is not that obvious, and that's what Aphrodite are saying for me. Level 10 of his close is enough. Now let's talk about Mirror. Mirror for me, you need level 30 of his close. Now the main thing for Mirror is you want his ability to instantly kill off someone with 15 layers of his mark. Now level 30 of his close, basically every single uh, of his normal attack is able to inflict 1 level. So that basically makes you able to hit 15 levels almost like twice as fast, pretty much a lot of the time. So you definitely want level 30 for Mirror. It's gonna make so big a difference for him. Next, let's talk about 3 characters, which who I'm gonna put at level 1. So that's Marine, Argo, and Shania. So all 3 of them, the reason why I'm not a great fan of their clothes is because their clothes all uh, are probability driven. So they all increase the probability of a certain thing to happen. So it could be a critical hit, it could be for petrify, or for Marine, it'd be dodging an enemy's attack. Now, the reason why I'm not a great fan of those probability driven effect is because if you're in PvP against other players, I don't really want the outcome to be driven by something which is so random, so purely by probability. So I don't really like that in PvP. And if it's in maps or in boss battles, I can always retry my battle from the beginning in order to get the outcome I want. So, for example, if the requirement for me to dodge 3 times, yes, with a higher probability of dodging, I may be able to reach that faster. However, if I have plenty of time, I can keep on replaying the match or the battle lots of time till I get this outcome where I am able to dodge 3 times. So for me, the benefit from this is not so obvious. So I don't think it's really worth the investment for of your God's blood or whatever Gold Knight's blood, etc. Just for something that you're able to easily do by replaying the battle a few times more. So that's why they're level one for me. So it's your choice on whether you want to put them any higher, but it's not really my preference to be honest. Next we have Towards the Baron. For me, it's probably so this and Agati I'll talk about together. So for me, Taurus Aldebaran, you need level 20 of his clothes, and Agati, you need level 10. So basically, what happens is at the full levels, at level 30 for both of them, what happens is you're able to make them not dead for a few extra seconds. So for Agati, is you have power of death extending by another 2 seconds, which is very good, to be honest. But for Taurus Aldebaran, it's also that you are you won't be killed off for the first 2 casts of your skill. So they are both very good, but for me those are not essential because a lot of time if you have already been killed off, then that means the enemy can kill you off quite soon. Especially for if you think about Agati, whether you want level 10 or level 20. At level 20, Agati gains a shield when his power of death ends. But if the enemy is able to kill you off already, it's gonna be fairly easy for them to break your shield straight away. So that's why I don't really think this is worth actively putting at level 20. Similarly for Taurus Aldebaran, if the enemy already meant to kill you off, it won't be very long till they kill you off the second time. So if you are not able to even change out outcome of the battle through the extended time you're able to be invincible for the first cast of the skill, I don't think anything will change by the second time round either. So for me, level 20 is enough for Torosabro, and level 10 is probably enough for Agati. Um, Mermaid Tetas. Mermaid Tetas has a pretty linear increase. So you can put it in any of this. I'll probably put it at probably level 10. Because Silver Blood Knight, sorry, Blood of Silver Knight is just so easy for you to get. That I don't think it's worth really going to level 20 because the incremental is not worth it. But it's definitely certainly a lot more valuable than some of the other characters. So I'll probably just say level 10 for Mermaid. But honestly, it's pretty linear. So depending on how much resource you have, you can really do it at any level. But level 10 for me. Ewa Sega, I would say level 20. Level 20, you're able to then slow down the Cosmo gaining speed for your opponent and that gives you a Cosmo advantage, which is very useful. So level 20 for me is kind of the bare minimum you need his close on. At level 30, you're then able to make them kind of bleed and lose HP over time. But a lot of time, Evil Saga, you want to close off the battle soon, and when he releases ultimate, a lot of time you are already doing a massive amount of damage that you don't really need those additional dripping effect or bleeding effect. So level 20 for me is a clear power jump for Evil Saga. Jermaine, you also need it at level 20. So before level 20, basically what happens is he summons 3 crows at the start of the battle. At level 20, he is able to double that and summon 6 crows. So you definitely want to add level 20. That's a clear power jump there. Hound Asterion for me is level 30. So basically, he has this skill which is able to heal off your allies, able to give them a buff in their crit and attack, etc. Very, very useful skill. And level 30, he is also then able to give a bit of like dispel control effects as well. And also, most important, reduce the cooldown of how often you can release a skill. So kind of similar to Mirror. Having Hound Asterion is able to make sure you release this massively powerful skill a lot more often in the game, and that's why it's a clear power jump, and you need it at level 30. Libidoku, you only want level 20. At level 20, you basically gain loads of buff, or give loads of buff to all of your other knights, 4 buffs, so that's super helpful. You definitely don't need it at level 30, in my opinion, because level 30 just basically means Libidoku a lot more survivable, able to have survive even longer. But a lot of time, if you bring Libidoku, he is already one of a lot of time he's like the last one standing in my team. I don't need him to stand there any longer when all my other knights has already been killed off. So for me, level 20 is enough for Libidoku. Capricorn sure can be level 20 or level 30. I'm going to put at level 20 because I will talk about one. So at level 20, basically what happens is every single one of your normal attack reduce the enemy's armor, and that effect, that debuff can't even be dispelled. So it's really useful, especially in later map stages when you're up against enemies who are much stronger than you and therefore they have really high defense. So Carol Shooter, you definitely need level 20 for this effect. At level 30, that effect almost get doubled, which is why I think it's almost worth putting him at level 30 as well, because you're able to apply your normal attack to two enemies instead of just one. So similar to Mirror, where you're able to do it twice as fast, it's almost justifying putting him at level 30. However, I'm still going to put him at level 20 because his level 30 skill is only powerful because he's doubling his level 20 skill. So, even though level 30 is good, it's still dependent on the fact that his level 20 is so good. So that's why the power jump for me is probably level 20 for Captain Sure. Arrow's move for me, similar to Mermaid Tetris actually, like it's fairly linear. I don't think there's any clear power jump. Um, but Arrow's move is just a good character. I'll probably say level 30. Bottom of the level 30 though. When you kind of extend it to 8 seconds, so that is quite a big increase. But to be honest, he's fairly linear, so I can almost put him at any single level here. Um, Libra would have to be level 30 for sure. I actually done an analysis of Libra on my channel, so you can go and check that out. But basically, what happens is Libra need time to warm up, to really get his office increased buffs, etc. So at level 30 of his clothes, it really helps Libra during those first few seconds of the game where he's the weakest, and it just makes him totally on a different level because you kind of ensure that he gets all powered up for the remaining of the battle. So I think level 30 is very essential for Liberashura. Christ Camus level 30 for sure as well. Like without level 30, Christ Camus is just okay character. At level 30, where you are then able to freeze everyone at the beginning of the game, that's a massive power jump for him. And that's a lot of times the only reason why you bring a quest camera is to freeze everyone at the start of the battle. So you definitely get level 30 for him. Next we can talk about two characters. So those for me are similar for one reason, which is that they can be built very budgetly without any armor. So Sea Dragon Cannon's armor is not great. And normally a lot of time you bring Sea Dragon Cannon for only one reason, which is the ability to control one of the enemies at the start of the battle. You are able to do that without any clothes. You are in fact able to do that with just a single copy at a 5-star level. So there's no reason for you to really even power him up any further. So that he can be built so budgetly. That's why I think you can do whatever you want with his clothes. You don't even need to unlock it. For Sirius, I done an analysis on my channel as well. So once again, he can be built very budgetly. For that reason, I think you can also put him at level 1. Next, we have Athena. Athena, for me, I don't actually understand what her clothes is trying to do. And as a result, I will put it at level 1. Basically, her ultimate heals people. And then at levels 20 and level 30 of his clothes, it basically says that if your ultimate is effective on people, then they have a better immunity and they won't be killed off. But if you're healing them, surely they wouldn't be killed off anyway. So it's a very weird one. I seriously don't understand what it's trying to do. So I'm going to put that at level 1. Okay, next we have two characters who for me have two power jump. So I think they can really put at either level 10 or at level 30. Um, I'll talk about level 10 first. So the reason why they are very powerful at level 10 is because similar to Deathmask and Potomi, um, you are able to go into a snowball effect with Sagittarius at level 10 because when Sagittarius is at level 10, he recovers HP. He recovers Cosmo when he kills off someone, and then that makes him very likely to then have enough Cosmo to release the next ultimate straight off, and so get into that snowball effect. So that's a massive power jump at level 10. For Moses, the power jump at level 10 is mainly for boss battle against Babel. So Moses is probably essential for boss battle against Babel because Babel is able to do so much damage through inflicting like a burn effect on your knights. And Moses at level 10 close is able to dispel that negative effect and makes him almost essential for that battle. And that's why, before level 10, I'll probably not use Moses for any situation. At level 10, I'm able to at least use him in boss battle against Babel. And then at level 30, that's when he has a second power jump, which is now that he's able to debuff all of the opponents at once. And now you can actually bring him to other situations. Now, having said that, Moses, even at level 30 close, he's probably not at his full potential. His full potential not only need level 30 close, it also needs all 9 destiny points to unlock his full constellation to reduce the amount of damage your allies would take. So even though I would say level 30 is not a power jump for him, he is not even then he's not at his full potential. Um, for Sagittarius it also has a power jump at level 30 because he then gets his ability where he is immune to control and also immune to all damages for really short periods of time. That is very useful for two reasons. One, when you are into snowball effect, you don't really want to be controlled because the last thing you want is that you have all of your Cosmo charge up ready to fight ultimate, then the opponent control you, and then you're not able to release it. And because Sagittarius is quite fragile, he could have been killed off doing that, few seconds. So that's one thing you want to avoid, and that's why there's a power jump at level 30. But also, more importantly, at level 30, with this bit of short immunity, you can actually put Sagittarius up front if you are going for super offensive formation. Because then what happens is that even if the Sagittarius take lots of damage because he'll have a short period immunity. And remember, this happens every single time when he loses more than 25% of his health. So he could actually activate this multiple times as well. And also, he would be able to drain and leech HP out of your opponent, so that then make him recover. And he is actually a suitable alternative as front row when you have level 30 close. So that to me is also a power jump because before level 30 close, you would never put him in the front row. At level 30 close, he can actually be put in front row, and that can be helpful in certain situations. Now, having said that, because that's only for certain situations, so I'll probably move Sagittarius back to level 10. That's the clear big power jump for him. And I'll probably move Moses back to level 10 as well, purely because even at level 30, you still need his constellation as well for him to be fully effective. So the power jump is not as obvious as the one at level 10, I think. So yeah, so that's last character, Shaka. So Shaka, I'm gonna put Shaka along with all of the other Bronze Knight at the bottom because for Bronze Knight you are only able to go to 8 stars and therefore you can't even unlock your constellation. For Shaka, I don't even know how many VIP levels you need to just get enough copies to get to 9 star and unlock unlock his armor either. So for me, like all of the other Bronze Knight, this is probably one character you would never see his clothes being unlocked. Therefore, no point talking about him. And that's why I left him alongside with all of the other Bronze Knight. Cool, that's it for the video today. Hope you liked it. And once again, I would just like to clarify, this is not a tier list of how good the armors are or how good the knights are. It's purely from a resource planning point of view. If you only have a limited amount of resource, which knights should you actually try to get to level 20 or level 31st? Which knights are you then able to kind of change the way they battle and therefore allow you to bring in a slightly different strategy and kind of unlock more of their potential to be utilized in a slightly different way, etc. So definitely take that into mind when you read this tier list. It's definitely not a review of how good they are. It's purely from a resource planning perspective.